Hello and welcome to another episode of the Choose Strong podcast. Thank you for letting us join you in whatever it is that you are doing right now. Eddie and I are really excited about this podcast. We got all kinds of goodness to share with you today. As you know already, this is the recovery episode. It's one of the most important parts of your training and actually in every season of life. And so before we dive into that, speaking of seasons, Eddie, you are dressed in a windbreaker jacket. How's the weather over there just across the table? Because
it's chilly. It's a little chilly.
I'm actually warm, and it's weird to be warmer than you because it's usually the other way around.
It is, yeah.
Or is it you're just kind of like doing a little flex on your Janji jacket?
I'm trying to rep the brands.
You've been wearing a lot of Janji lately. It's
got my Janji shirt and my Janji jacket and my Cozy Earth hat.
Yeah. Well, it is summer.
Yes,
and,
it is.
Speaking of summer, kids, how many of you guys are eating a lot of watermelon? Because I know every summer that is something. I feel like we're eating watermelon like every day. I love
watermelon.
I love watermelon. Eddie, do you know how to tell when you go into a grocery store when a watermelon is ripe? You know, there's tests that they do on these things.
I do know this. Wait,
okay, what is it?
You like hit it or something. You're not like you knock on it.
Right, and there's like 3 different sounds that it could possibly be. So how do you know it's ripe?
That's the part I don't know.
Okay, so that's not helpful.
I know. I just know you hit
because
them
just the simple act of just knocking on it, because you can knock on it like a door.
Yeah.
I want to know if our youth listeners, kiddos, I want to know if you guys know what to do. What do you do when you go into the grocery store with your parents, and or let's just say dad or mom say, "Hey, go grab a watermelon. Go pick a ripe one." Would you know what to do? There's 2 things you can do. You could look at it. Typically, the bottom of the base of a watermelon, if it's like yellow or like a creamy color, that typically indicates that it's sweet. It's ready to go. But another way that you can test a watermelon is by knocking on it, and if it sounds like a drum, like a hollow drum, that is a ripe watermelon.
Hollow?
But if it's like a thud, it's not ripe yet. Yeah.
So a hollow means good to go.
It's good to go. You want to sound kind of like a drum.
Okay.
So next time, Eddie, that you are in the grocery store, you want to grab a big old watermelon.
I try to stay away from the grocery store.
You know, we went yesterday and we went the day before together. So I really appreciate it when you come with me.
It overwhelms me.
Why does it overwhelm you?
Because there's too many choices. Like I can't like walk down an aisle if you're like, hey, go grab sparkling water.
Right.
There's like, not only is there like 20 different brands now, but then there's like 20 different flavors within those brands.
Right.
Why couldn't it be just like one brand owns the space and then it's just original or something?
Right.
Like very basic, like grab it and let's get out. But I go down those aisles and it's like, it's overwhelming.
Is this why you like In-N-Out so much? Because the menu has been the same for decades and doesn't change.
Yeah, I like the simplicity of stuff.
You do.
Yes, I do.
You
So
do.
I don't get overwhelmed.
So much so that our kids often wonder about your clothing choices.
Well, so what? You know? Plain Jane.
The same T-shirts for years and years. Same hats, but not today.
Well, I'm changing it up. I am changing it up today. I am turning over a new leaf.
Mackenzie, I've noticed you and Mackenzie do love to tease each other. I feel like that's like part of your love language with one another. It's teasing each other about Strava, giving kudos. I mean, she was bragging yesterday about her comment on your Strava saying, "This is so slow." What did she say?
She said, "So slow." Yes.
So slow. And her comment got like 10 likes on it.
Yeah.
And I thought people they know that you guys they got the banter going, but every day she evaluates your outfits.
I know.
And it's just, I hear it. When I'm upstairs, I hear you guys going back and forth. And she'll just say one word like shorts or shoes.
Yeah. Or a 3 out of 10. I'm like, whatever.
Well, your sweet girl's heading out for Arizona in less than 5 weeks here, and I don't know how I even came across this article. You know, we've been thinking about our mini visits to Arizona that will be happening.
Yeah.
I know you've kind of dipped your toes into looking at real estate in Flagstaff, wanting to get a condo of some sorts there.
At this point, I'll do a tent. I will do a condo. I will do a townhome. I will do a room for rent. It doesn't matter. Whatever's available.
But I was trying to think of like fun things to do in Arizona too,
Mm-hmm.
outside of that. Like if we're there exploring, like why not check out the museum that tells stories of ancient animals through their fossilized poop?
Wait, what? Are you being serious? You looked that up?
No, I don't know how I came upon it. I came upon this. It's like in U.S. News. Like there's literally a museum in Arizona that, and even its logo, it's a logo of a T-Rex sitting on a toilet. So people who live in Arizona are like, yes, I know this, or yes, I have been there. But I just started giggling thinking about what a fun museum to take kids. I mean, little kids talking about poop is just hilarious, right? But that's what this whole museum is dedicated to. Telling the stories of ancient animals through their fossilized poop. But I have to point out, I actually started reading the article, and their biggest piece of poop.
Where is this going?
Their biggest piece of poop is 2 feet long and 6 inches around. Let's just think about that for a minute. That's bigger than our dog.
6 inch.
So anyway, we need to check this out, Ed. We need to check out the poop museum. Maybe take Mackenzie there, just to get her used to her surroundings and just fun things to do on the weekend.
Fun things to do. I did not know that existed. That's interesting.
It's
Thanks for looking that up, Sal.
I don't even know how it popped up, but I just thought I'd share that with our listeners today. Give you a little giggle. Also, if you are making your way to Arizona for any type of vacation, traveling, or you live there and you didn't know this existed, let us know what it's like, because that made me giggle. And what else is going on?
Interesting.
What else is going on in this in your world?
In my world, let's see. I decided the other day to come up with a new goal.
Eddie's goals. I have to say I've missed Eddie's goals in these last few podcasts because it's just been other focus. But if you are a subscriber on my Instagram, so I do secret stories every day, people have been seeing what you're doing. And
it's not much, but I'll just tell you that. It's not a lot. But
you have come out of your recovery season.
I did, yeah. So I recovered for about 12 weeks.
I love this podcast is about recovery today, and this is how we're gonna pitch it right here. I love it.
Yeah.
So you had a 12-week recovery. I think.
No, it felt long, but yeah, I finally got back out on the treadmill and got a few miles under my belt.
Well, you've had like 4 days straight of 3 miles.
Yeah, I did 6. So the 6th, the 7th, and the 8th, I've done 3 miles a day. So
now, where did that come from? When were you like? What point in your early morning coffee and notebook scribbling were you like, "This is it"?
All right, this just gives you a little insight into my brain, but I said, it's time to get back on the horse and get back in the running game.
Right.
So I was looking at the calendar.
And hold on a minute. Your wife also coach and running career. Did you ever think, hey, maybe Sally has a couple, like 1 or 2 good ideas to get back into this? No. See, I wanted to highlight that.
That was not an option
listeners,
for me.
I purposely wanted to highlight that because people ask all the time.
Really?
Do you coach Eddie?
Oh, do you coach
Do you
him?
guide him? And this is why, friends. Go ahead and continue on, Ed.
Okay, so like I was saying, I felt it was time to get back out there, get some miles under my belt. And so you know what I decided to do? I said, you know what? I looked at the calendar, and it is July 6th, and it is 10 days until my birthday. I'm going to run 3 miles a day for the next 10 days. I don't know why, but that just happened to be 10 days away.
Birthday goal?
Birthday goal. Birthday goal. Some people run like that many miles for how old they are. Like
Mhm.
turning 34, I'm running 34 miles. Not me.
Yeah.
Not me.
You're
That's not
gonna
how
run
it goes.
you're gonna run 30 miles in 10 days, which is still very far from the age you're turning.
Yeah, well, we won't talk about that, but that's how I came up with my goal. And so far, 3 for 3. Today would be my 4th day, so I'm gonna hopefully get after it. Not very fast, but back out there, and it feels good to be back out there running. So
What inspired you to begin running again? Or did you actually have a genuine desire? You missed it, or maybe you missed the feeling that you were experiencing while having a structured running routine?
yeah, it was I don't love the run. I told you that I don't really love the running.
All right, Goggins,
But
go on.
I do love the
Goggins
results.
always talks about how he doesn't like running, but he'll go and, just pounds
Yeah, I don't.
for miles and miles and miles.
Some people enjoy it. I don't love it, but I love the result. I love the feeling afterwards, the sense of accomplishment, those types of things. So it's more of the physical and the mental versus like the loving the running. But yeah, so that's my new goal.
Yeah.
That is my new goal. So,
Yeah. I'm proud of you in this birthday goal.
Yeah, thanks.
I think that one of the I think this is popular with a lot of us as we age, as we hit new milestones.
Easy. What are we talking about here? Easy.
Aging, I can say that to an 8-year-old.
Okay,
An 8-year-old
all right,
ages,
be careful.
a 20-year-old ages.
Mm.
Just with every passing year, I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things we often evaluate is our strength, our fitness, what we did maybe 5 years ago, what we want to continue building upon.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're about to enter a new year around the sun,
Mm-hmm.
I love that you have a physical goal that's in mind. We talked about this recently. You and I were out on a bike ride, and I said one of the most valuable assets that all humans have is their ability to move.
Yeah.
We often take our fitness, our health for granted. When it's taken away, it's devastating. It changes our life. So it's important that we make the most of the body that we have been given. This is the one body we get. It's our fortress. It's our machine. It dictates a lot of our everyday activities and the goals that we set for ourselves. And we have the ability every day to be better, no matter what our starting point is. We have people all around us that deal with either chronic illness, chronic injuries, permanent injuries, limitations. And I think that, being grateful for what it is that you do have and what your starting point is, and knowing that you can always improve in strength.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really good goal to have just every day in our life. And, you and I both, I think a lot of our listeners too, we've watched people who we love decline in health, especially those that are coming at the end of their life. And I know for me, that is always what has impacted me the most in wanting to take care of my body. I feel like I grew up in the age where me and my friends, like our moms were always on a diet.
Yeah.
It was Slim Fast, Weight Watchers, Richard Simmons videos playing in the living room, and Jazzercise and all of that. It was actually just it was very common that everyone's mom was on a diet.
Mm-hmm.
And I even wrote about that a little bit in my book, trying to understand, because I had 3 sisters too. Having a mom that was consistently unhappy with what she looked like,
Mm-hmm.
and how that then paralleled when she was sick, how I then kind of differentiated the difference between like true strength, like true physical strength, and the strength from within, when I talked about that chapter called Standing in the Rain.
Yeah.
So, she's not far from passing away, and she stands in the rain. She's the most uncomfortable, very sick, to support me, and how that has affected me my entire life, realizing our greatest strength is between 2 ears and the way that we choose to live our lives, but also understanding that our physical body plays a powerful role too. So choosing to get up every day to take care of our body, that isn't always easy.
Yeah.
Especially if you do not like the way that you feel, if you don't like the way that you look, and whether because that's pressures of society or maybe like really harsh words that people said to you earlier in your life. I mean, the physical and mental, they do go hand in hand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, when I lost my mom, what I started to understand, because I was an athlete at that time, was the great gift of having a healthy body. And it actually helped me really hold on to the value of just being strong and not so much I need to fit into this size of jeans. And even today, that's a great focus for me. If I'm consistently training and I'm hoping to strengthen my body, it's going to end up being shaped in what it was meant to be. It doesn't need to look like everybody else's body. And I know we're talking about recovery today, and that even goes for recovery. I've noticed that over the years, that my recovery looks different depending on the routines that I'm doing, depending on the race that I came off of, depending on what that training is or where I am in my life. Sometimes recovery needs to be longer, shorter. Seasons of recovery, sometimes they're a little bit longer or shorter as well. But, this goal of how can I strengthen my body and make this one body that I have the best that it can be. That's a personal journey for all of us. That looks different for all of us. And I empathize deeply with, the pressures and the comparing online and wanting to look a certain way. But I think at the end of the day, the most powerful thing we can do is choose to strengthen our own unique body. And that looks different on all of us. This episode is brought to you by the Apollo wearable. Unlike other wearables, this is not a biometric tracking device. Apollo is a therapeutic wearable designed to be worn discreetly on the wrist, ankle, or anywhere by clipping it to your clothing. That works by sending gentle vibrations to the body that signal safety to the brain. It's a safe, non-invasive way to relax, get the sleep you need, focus your attention, and find your flow. Using the Apollo wearable consistently over time helps to retrain your nervous system, helping you recover from stress and feel better. A few things that I'd love to highlight about the Apollo. One, it supports the recovery process for runners and active individuals by providing a wearable solution that aids muscle relaxation and reduces stress after intense physical activity. This helps in quicker recovery, allowing you to train harder and more effectively. Now, Apollo is giving us a special discount code that I would love for you to take advantage of. You get to save $40 off an Apollo wearable by visiting the link in the episode description or by going directly to apollonero.com and use code CHOOSESTRONG. That's APOLLONEURO.com and use code CHOOSESTRONG. I think you sharing, Eddie, your journey from, moving through this marathon training with some discomfort, accomplishing the marathon, getting to that finish line, and then for your first time ever in your life, navigating what recovery looks like. It's been a joy for me to watch because, my first marathon was so long ago, but I remember my recovery was really long. I think I actually took like 4 or 5 weeks off. I was in a lot of pain after my first marathon, and I was a teacher working on the second story, and we didn't have an elevator, and so I just remember how much pain I was in for like 2 weeks going down the stairs. And then I did a lot of strength training and biking and Pilates. I didn't really understand like what to do next. Like, okay, I did a marathon, like should I do another one? And I those first couple of years of endurance running, I did one race a year. That was it. I didn't, I was navigating every part of it. So it's been fun for me to watch because I find a lot of joy in the initial learning of anything, feeling like a rookie, kind of laughing at yourself, figuring things out, like what works for you, what doesn't. So I know we joke around about this 3 miles in 10 days, but I think it's just a natural progression of you like really discovering what you love about running, what works for you, what makes you feel good, what keeps you like satisfied as far as like fitness goes. But I know as your wife, as I'm witnessing it, you found that on your own. It was never because I was like, hey, you need to get back to running, or hey, Ed, you know, when are you going to start that training plan again? You just,
hey, fatty, get off the couch. Time to run.
Hey, you look horrible.
Well, it's funny because now that I've, ran a couple days in a row, I get these Strava friends are pretty funny. Got the
I think it's daily you're reading me what the
hashtag
comments are, so
Eddie runs an ultra.
I'm not on there as much. But.
Hashtag Eddie runs Cocodona. Hashtag Eddie's running Western States. All that. No.
I love the hashtags.
Yeah, pretty funny.
Listeners, don't think for a second that I don't talk about his training, but see, I'm an adventure seeker. I've been like excited about, hey, do you want to do a race together? So Eddie and I have been talking about possibly embarking on a race together, and I am hoping that in 2025 that Eddie's first trail race will come to life.
You have been talking about us running.
Huh?
You have been talking about us.
Did you not listen to what I just said?
I was listening to you talking about us running.
Right. A trail. Now, there's no distance. There's no distance. It's just a lot of like dreaming of what that would be like and how much fun that would be to do it together. But no, you haven't brought it up to me. That's like me bringing it up to you.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Okay. Just clarifying.
The defensive-ness that just popped up there. I think we all sensed that.
Just clarifying.
So, also why I said 2025 and not this year. It might be a year and a half. I mean, they have trail 5Ks and 10Ks. So
that's true, yeah.
I didn't say let's go hop in a 150-mile race.
I know that's where you're going, though. I know that's where you're headed.
It would be fun to go on a long adventure with
I know.
you.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to some Choose Strong podcast love. What do you think, Sal?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm going to read from Jeremiah. He says on Apple Podcasts, he says this: genuine people reaching genuine people. I love this show. I'm a new runner, a weightlifter. I've married 9 years with a toddler, active duty Marine, and a graduate student. I love how Sally and Eddie talk about life, struggles, victories, and all the details in between. One of my favorite running and commuting couples to connect with. Great for not just runners, but people looking to be better at life, parenting, and marriage. Thanks for the show, Sally and Eddie. I hope to give an in-person fist bump and mini kudo one day. Jeremiah.
Can we get some mini kudo stickers made, Ed?
Oh, yes.
I would love to pass those out. Like, just you get a mini kudo,
but
you
it's
get
like,
a mini kudo.
But it's like.
But then we have these ultra kudos made, and it's like a big group of people, and only a couple get ultra.
And then all of a sudden, you're like seeing all the mini kudo like stickers on the ground, like people don't want them. They're like, oh, I don't want this crap. They're like,
that would be funny.
Yeah. So Jeremiah, bro, we are not giving mini kudo to you if we see you. We are going full blown.
We're going ultra kudo.
We're going ultra kudo.
Yeah.
And fist bump hug to Jeremiah. So we thank you for that nice, kind review, and thank you for serving in the military. Appreciate that. All right, next one is from Susie. Susie is on Apple Podcasts, and the title is Inspired to Choose Strong with a yellow heart. Each episode of this podcast is relatable, joyful, and inspiring. Funny enough, I grew up on Huntington Beach, but I didn't become a runner until I moved across the country as a teenager. Last year, Sally's book was given to me by an old friend, and ever since then, I've been obsessed with everything McRae. And I even connected the dots that I once raced against Mackenzie at Arcadia.
Oh, so cool.
Very cool.
So this is a youth listener. This is one of our younger listeners.
I believe so.
Awesome.
In the past few years, I've worked to recover from anorexia. So Sally's podcast and motto, To Choose Strong, has changed the way I see my life, my health, and my sport. I now run D1 in college, but I'm itching to hit up the ultra scene when I graduate. Sally and Eddie feel almost like virtual parents to me, and I'd imagine to any other teens and young adults who listen. Thank you both for your beautiful work.
Well, that's going to make me cry.
Susie, that was very sweet.
Thank you, Susie. And we are cheering for you in college as you run. I mean, who knows? You might run against Mackenzie again.
Yeah, that's right.
That would be super cool. And we hope that we get to meet you face to face one day, and especially see you out on the trails, because I know we talked about this in the last podcast, Eddie. This is a super exciting time for our youth ultra and trail runners. We're seeing more and more come out of college, and they are heading to the trails. They are doing great things on the trails. I mean, these are well-trained runners that have been, coached for years. And so they're coming out and running fast times, breaking barriers, because we just haven't seen a lot of youth out there.
Yeah, right.
But that's changing. In the last 2 years, it has changed quite a bit. So, can't wait to see what's in store, just even the next 5 years, how the sport's going to continue to change, and exciting stuff.
Yes. So Susie, appreciate you writing that.
Susie.
And we will take the honor of being your virtual parents. And if you're ever in Huntington Beach, we'd love to say hi to you. So, all right, those were the two that I wanted to mention. And now I want to move on to some highlights of the Choose Strong community.
Okay.
Because those are always fun to read and to mention. So the first one I got today is from John from the Strava group, from the Choose Strong Strava group. And John is, he's got a nice picture of himself there. And he says this: today's 5-miler turned into 2 miles of run, walk, pity party, followed by the pivot to walking the last 3 miles. Choose Strong in my head as I pondered just going back to my car, but then remembering all the awesome stuff folks in this group do every day, and Sally not stepping out of Western States just fueled me to get the time on my feet even when it's a pivot. Sorry to all of the English teachers out there for the run-on sentence. So John, he got his 5 miles in, but he kind of walked 2 of them, and then walked the last 3. So I wanted to highlight John because, John, we have all been there, my friend. We have all wanted to turn back to the car and to say, you know what, this is not my day. I do not feel like being out here. 5 is not going to happen. I say that quite a bit on just trying to get 3 in. So 5 is, it's good stuff.
I love that, because I think we have all been there.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes the run does need to stop. You might set out for 8 miles, 10 miles, and 2 miles in, you're like, wow, I thought the injury was healed up. This is really painful. That's a good time to cut the run. Other times, the mental exhaustion and stress that comes with just real life, that can feel so heavy when you are hoping to start running. And I've had seasons like that where, just like John, I think, I'm going to slow the intensity down. Today was supposed to be a tempo run, but I think I'm just going to run easy for 90 minutes. Like I'm going to get the movement done, but right now is not a good time for me to be intense. I think that listening to our body and not being so tied to maybe a downloadable training plan that we got online, if you have a coach that you work on one-on-one, this is like one of the greatest, I think, benefits to having a coach. Because when I had an online roster, this was something that we would do on the fly. Sometimes they'd wake up and be like, oh man, I came down with a cold, or like, there's been an emergency. I have to fly to North Carolina. There's a family emergency. Like, I'm not gonna be able to get this run done. And then just some people that are like, dude, I'm just not feeling it today, Sally. Like, what else can I do? So that constant feedback is always nice from a coach. But when you're kind of making your plans on your own, and you're trying to figure out how to get all this work done on your own, the best thing you can do is listen to yourself. Now, there are standards, I believe, that we should also hold ourselves to, because I think there's the other side is, once you start maybe consistently modifying like everything you do, that's when you have to say, like, wait a minute, am I like burnt out? Because every time I run, I don't want to be out there. Every time I run, I just feel like weighed down. And I think that's really powerful too. We constantly have to be honest with ourselves. And one thing that I've talked about this before, but I will do is like, if I'm not feeling it in the beginning, I at least lace up my shoes and I'll walk for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And then sometimes I end up running for another 70 minutes after that walk. Like sometimes it's just, I just need to be outside in the fresh air and kind of just work through things while I was walking. And then I work up to a run. Sometimes it's changing the intensity. So I'm really glad that John shared this. I think a lot of people listening can totally relate to this.
Yeah, big
so
time.
Going the distance, putting the work in regardless of the pace, you showed up and you did that.
Yep.
Because for many of us, we've also been there. We're like, we're not putting the shoes on, and we're not doing anything at all. So that comes down to like a personal choice. Again, that comes down to honesty and just evaluating with yourself over and over. So are you doing that on a routine basis, constantly modifying, or is this a season in your life where you need to take all of intensity out of your workouts and just make sure that you're getting out and doing something? And again, we'll actually touch on this a little bit more when we start to dive into the recovery stuff. But I did want to take note, Eddie. Do you know that in the Choose Strong Strava group, you have a leaderboard?
I did, yeah, notice that. I never check it because I'm never on it. So I'm like,
right.
You know what? Good for them, because, they're doing good stuff.
Well, last week's leaders, you had Jack Buffington at 196 miles for the week.
Let's go, Jack.
We had Rafa at 163 miles and Reese Moulton at 145 miles. You have some rock stars
killing it
in this group. And I'm looking at this week's leaderboard. Today's Tuesday. We're recording this on a Tuesday.
Yes.
And your top leader, Nicholas Steinbrunner, is already at 65 miles.
Nicholas, my goodness.
Just a shout out to just a couple people in that group. But I see you are building up this group, Ed. We are almost 5,000 strong. Really exciting to see.
It's a great group.
It is a great group. So thank you for being a part of it. If you're not familiar with the Strava group, and also for, not everyone likes to be on public groups and forums. Right. One of the things that I've always encouraged, you can just come up with a cartoon profile. You can come up with an alias. You can come up with, if you don't want to be known, there's also, you can also hide your activity. And if you just want to be in on the group to encourage people, give kudos. You can still keep a private profile and join in on the conversation. Or if you just want to watch Eddie's, activities, go ahead and get in on Strava.
Please don't do it just for that. You'll be highly disappointed.
Eddie, one of the things that we did this week in order to recover from Western States was we enjoyed some giant steaks from Nick Bear.
Yeah, those were delicious.
Nick Bear sent us 6 18-ounce steaks from Rattlesnake Farms.
No, Snake Farm. No, sorry, Snake River Farm.
Rattlesnake Farm.
Rattlesnake Farm. Gee, Nick, thanks. Oh.
I don't know where that came from.
Rattlesnake Farms. I don't think I want anything from that farm.
So Snake River?
Snake River Farms, yes. Jeez.
Hands down, the best steaks I've ever had in my life. And you, Ed, it was your first time. I mean, I was like nervous for you cooking these.
Yeah.
Because it's quite the process.
It is quite the process.
You nailed it.
It's actually very simple, to be honest. I thought it was a lot more complicated than it was.
Nick told us to get the that seasoning. It was hardcore carnivore seasoning. I ordered it on Amazon. We cooked these things in iron skillets. You popped them in the oven. You timed how long they were going to sit out. But these snakes. Why snakes right now? What actually did you eat?
What is going on over there?
These steaks were hands down so delicious that you didn't need any sauce. Like just that seasoning on it, the way that you cooked them, incredible.
Delicious.
I mean, I think we invited family over to enjoy them with us. I think it was the only one at the table that my whole plate was just steak.
I noticed that, yeah.
I didn't have anything else
I noticed
on my plate.
Yeah, those were very good. We don't have a ton of steak usually, but so we don't have like a ton to compare it to, but those were very good.
When you take me out to dinner, every now and then I treat myself to like, I'm going to get the pricier steak.
Yeah.
Just, I love steak so much. But you're right. I mean, best I've ever had.
There, yeah, very good.
And it was cooked by you. So, well done. But we had family over, and we have been so excited watching the, what is it? The Copa America.
Oh yeah.
And the Euro.
Yeah.
Soccer games are going on right now, and we played this game. Listeners, you can play this game too. If you are soccer lovers, Eddie and I, diehard soccer lovers.
Well, even if you're not a soccer lover, you can play this game.
You can
It's a
play
great
this
game.
It is a great game. Like,
It's not even a game, I guess. It's stupid, but
what?
I mean, it's not stupid. It's great.
So I made it up.
Obviously.
So we were. A lot of these games have been coming down to shootouts.
Yeah.
And, you know, shootouts are pretty fun to watch. It is kind of a bummer to win a game that way. You know, the pressure comes down to the goalie and the 5 guys chosen to take these shots.
I think people that don't like soccer, football, like they would enjoy like this, right?
Oh,
like
yeah.
everybody loves a penalty kick,
Right.
shootout, right?
Yeah. And so what we would do is all of us, before the guy would shoot, we would have to say where he was going to hit it. So upper right corner, lower left corner, or we would say, oh, the goalie's going to stop this.
I felt like I was in a mean way. I was kind of judging the person coming up to kick the ball, where I was like, oh, this guy, he's going to miss.
Right, because of his hair.
Just by looking at his frosted tips, I'm like, this guy's going to miss.
Now, keep in mind, Ed, you had frosted tips when you played soccer.
That's true. That is true. Maybe that's why I was like, oh, this guy's going to miss. It's a joke.
Soccer players have the best hair in sports.
They got good hair.
The
You're
absolute best hair in sports. But that was super fun. So what's hilarious is I was reading soccer news, and you know what popped up while I was reading soccer news? Did you hear about that giant sinkhole in Illinois?
No, I did not.
I mean, I have to show this to you. I have a video of it. It's a giant sinkhole swallows up the center of a soccer field that was built on top of a limestone mine. But you have to see this thing. Look at this is a nice facility in Illinois. And I think that the fact that this happened early in the morning, thank goodness, but this sinkhole was massive. It ended up collapsing, I think like 165 feet down, and it took an entire light down with it. And they have it on video. The surveillance video caught the entire thing. I kind of want to play it for you, but I think I would have to watch an ad.
Yeah.
I think I'd have to watch an ad.
We can save it. We can save it.
Yeah.
Did that pop up after you're like typing in prehistoric poop and that like was next or what?
Look,
How did you
Look,
how'd you come up with
you
this?
literally have to watch this right now. Watch this.
That's creepy.
It's creepy, right?
Yeah, it is creepy.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Scared.
I was like, can you imagine? And they say that soccer teams, youth practices here all the time. Can you imagine having a soccer team, Ed? And you're like, all right, kids, I'm going to run over to the sidelines and grab the bibs. We're going to play 5v5. You turn around, your entire team is gone. I've dropped into the sinkhole. The funny thing about this though is at the end of the article, they're talking about how they're going to be fixing this, and one of the guys says, we're going to look for ways to fix this, so it doesn't affect the community. And a key word in here is that he says engineers and geologists will most likely be involved in determining the stability of the ground and surrounding areas. And I thought, what would make you consider yes or no in that situation? We might have engineers help us out with this. We might just fill it with cement.
Yeah.
And call it a day.
I don't think Tom, who we hired to cut the grass, is quite up for the task of repairing this one.
All I know is that my kids would not be going to practice there ever again.
Let's stick to the cement.
Anyway, that's the wild world of news, Ed. I was going to bring up.
Appreciate you filling us in on these Groundbreaking stories.
Let's go ahead and
wow.
just hop into the meat of this
No,
podcast.
I'm not done with my stuff over here,
Oh,
so you
yeah,
need
you
to
had
relax
some
over there. I'm not done. Quit trying to cut me off here. All right. We just heard from John and his 5 miles. John, do want to say good job, buddy.
Yeah.
And yeah, good stuff. All right, the next one, strong mind as well. So John had a very strong mind to finish that 5 miles. We have another strong mind from Kelsey. Kelsey wrote into the Instagram and she says, "Hey guys, I just got to tell you that I had an opportunity to choose strong yesterday. I jumped into a shallow river not knowing it was a foot deep. I dislocated my ankle and I broke my leg in 2 spots. Immediately, I heard you both in my head to be strong. I was able to stay calm, to breathe, and to even crack some jokes with my crew as we waited for search and rescue. I know it may sound cheesy that during a traumatic event, my first thought was to be strong, but I would hope you'd want to know that your impact on people, even in times of crisis. While I'm bummed that my race season is over, I'm incredibly thankful to have you all's energy to get me through the next 6 months of recovery. Much love."
What's the name?
That's Kelsey.
Kelsey. I was not expecting that.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know the reviews Eddie's gonna read.
Yeah.
Made me shudder. Thinking about, in her mind, she thinks she's gonna be sinking into water, and instead is received with a broken bone, dislocation.
Dislocated, yep, and then dislocated ankle, and then broke my leg in 2 spots.
Oh my gosh.
So
my heart is with you. Thank you for sharing that. You are incredibly gritty and
big time.
so strong. The fact that you could remain positive and hopeful and to even crack jokes with people around you, what a powerful mind.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, isn't it incredible how powerful your mind is? Like to kind of almost remove yourself from that pain and that discomfort and like what just happened and the shock of like, all right, I'm gonna be strong in this. I'm gonna crack some jokes. We're gonna wait for certain, like that's big time. So Kelsey, well done. Hey, we are hoping you in these next 6 months will really able to relax and recover and hope everything turns out okay and you get back out there. So thanks again for sharing that, Kelsey.
Well, I hope Kelsey finds some, hopefully the pain subsides. I hope you're not in a lot of pain, Kelsey. I hope you find some renewed excitement, joy, enthusiasm, curiosity, and wonder for other things in your life right now too. I'm thinking back to the times that I have been injured in my life, and it always ended up redirecting my attention to something else. Yeah. Whether that's spending more downtime with friends, family, or even investing into other hobbies that I really love. More time to write, more time to visit. Yeah, I mean, when we realize that there's a purpose for everything, right? We can kind of, all right, I'm injured for some reason. I got 6 months. I can't run. I can't do something that I really want to do. Maybe I'm supposed to do something else. Maybe I'm supposed to, pick up a different hobby or reflect on whatever, right? Like, there's a reason that happened. So, well, Kelsey, no doubt you inspired everyone that was around you. I'm sure they were not expecting that kind of reaction. I know just listening to it from me, I was cringing. I can only imagine people watching were so impressed with your strength and your ability to immediately look to, the positive and be hopeful and amazing. Yes. So thanks for sharing that. All right. My last one is Erin. She sent an email to us. Said, "Hi, Eddie and Sally. I just wanted to share an awesome story about a strong love moment from this past weekend. I signed up to a local midnight marathon. Oh. And I was super nervous about getting... Did she say what marathon that is? A midnight marathon? No. That sounds adventurous. Yeah. It's a local midnight marathon, and she was super nervous about getting lost in the middle of the night because I knew it was an unmarshaled and unsupported course, and my navigation skills are questionable even at the best of times. When the clock ticked midnight, we all took off into the night. And because it was such a small race, it didn't take long before we were all spread out. And about 4 miles in, I took a wrong turn, and my biggest fear came into play. I ran about half a mile off course before I saw the headlamp of someone in the distance. And when I caught up to that person, it was a nice man named David.
He had done the race previously and knew the course well and was very friendly about me joining him. I learned he was a fan of ultra running, and we got to chatting about Western states, and of course, Sally came up, and I was happy that he was a big fan as I am. I showed him my signed hat that I won off the Instagram competition, and together we ticked off the miles one by one. Turned out to be one of the best experiences, and I made a great friend by the end of the race. The Chew Strong community continues to inspire me, and I wanted you to know that you've even reached the tiny country of Northern Ireland with your message of strength and doing hard things. Shout out to David and the rest of the Chew Strong fam. Aaron. That's pretty cool.
That is really powerful. That is so cool. Thank you so much, Aaron, for sharing that. And, that's the part of the community I love the most. The way that people make friends it's just so cool because, I feel like just in our everyday life, sometimes it's hard to meet people.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's hard to connect with people as, whether you're going to the grocery store, grabbing a cup of coffee. But there's something about when people embark on a trail race or these endurance events that everyone just kind of feels like, oh, I can talk to you.
Yeah.
I can talk to you for hours and now we're best friends. Like, I don't know what that is, but it's really special. And I think that's what keeps people coming back.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, Aaron's 1 a.m. lost on a trail in Northern Ireland and meets a good friend. That's a cool story. A story
that will be remembered forever.
Totally. Yeah. All right, Aaron, we appreciate you sending that in to us, and that was a cool story. All right, last little bit that I gotta share is that our BPN Go Gel box giveaway is over, and we gave those out. And you know what? We were supposed to just give 5 away, but BPN said, you know what? We have 20 to give away. So we chose 20 winners to give these Go Gel boxes out, and we are so grateful to BPN for allowing 20 people to win these. So we have already reached out to these 20 people and got their addresses. So those BPN boxes should be en route. So yeah, that's all I got over here. That was just a cool giveaway.
Tony, our good friend over at BPN, sent me a video of the boxes being assembled. And if you're watching on YouTube right now, you can see what that video looks like. It's very special. It makes me feel a tiny bit uncomfortable because it's like the whole box is my face plastered all over it. So it's really sweet that so many people actually wanted one. Mm-hmm. I hope that you guys like the Go Gel in there. So the mango, which is my flavor, I had posted a video about this before. It is particularly thin. It mixes so well in water. And even at Western States, what I found was that gel was a lot easier for me to get in as my stomach started to turn. I could just sip on it. It was these little sips of calories, and it went down really well. So it's not like a typical gooey gel that maybe you would get with some of the other brands. It's amazing, strong flavor that tastes real. And so I hope that you guys have fun testing that out. There is the yellow Going More hat in there. It has my signature on the side. That I don't believe that's a hat that they're going to continue making, but I think they only made like 100, 150 of them. So yeah, and a collector's card, my book, and I think that's it. And then just the big box. So
yeah.
Thank you everyone over at BPN. Thank you, Tony, for making that happen. And thank you, listeners, just for, being a part of the community. We have so much fun giving stuff away. We will be doing another giveaway in August, so stay tuned for that. And yeah.
I don't know if there's a day that goes by over here at the McRae household that I am not made fun of for something that I'm wearing. My kids love to poke fun at the shirts that I wear that are older than them, or the shorts that are a little bit too short and out of style. But thankfully, lately, I have been wearing some Janji gear. Now, Janji's awesome because it looks great, but also is super comfortable. I've been wearing their 5-inch middle short quite a bit lately. I've been wearing it to run. I've been wearing it to the gym, but also just been wearing it to
go about my day in. And in fact, I wore these shorts for Sally's Western States race as I was crewing her. Wore them all day. They were great. They were comfortable. They had a ton of pockets. Really, really love those shorts. And also been wearing the windbreaker, the Zephyr Runner Windshield. Great little jacket. It's packable and looks great as well. Another great thing about Janji is that 2% of all their sales are donated to clean water programs around the world. And up until this point, they've donated almost $1 million to clean water solutions around the globe. So if you are looking to level up or upgrade your running apparel or just your everyday wear, consider Janji. Janji is available at REI stores as well as janji.com. And if you use code CHOOSESTRONG, you will get 10% off at janji.com. That's CHOOSESTRONG at janji.com.
All right. So today we are here, Sal, to chat about recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you've said in the past that recovery is one of the most important parts of training, right? So let's talk about that a little bit. I just have a couple questions on this side, and I'm just going to share them with you, and then you can do as you please with them, all right? And answer these questions that, I mean, these are real popular questions that a lot of people have, and kind of heavy hitters when it comes to recovery. So, how often do you implement focused recovery periods into your year?
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll first just touch on, first talk about that recovery is one of the most important parts of training. I think that when we think about our training program, when we think about a training schedule, we really just think about all the action items that we're going to be implementing. So, I'm going to get in my long run, my hill workout, my strength training in the gym. It really is the way that we personally like to assess that we're improving. So recovery, it doesn't make sense initially in our mind. I think especially with, even 15, 20 years ago, before we were introduced to all the different recovery modalities and all the research that is continuing to be pushed out about the benefits of recovery, people were more concerned with the action is what helps me improve, not so much the recovery, which a lot of times we just believe is just this downtime where we are, for lack of better terms, where we feel lazy.
Yeah.
We feel like recovery feels too easy. It's too relaxed. I'm comfortable when I'm recovering. And so how on earth am I going to be making any progress? But when you look at what recovery entails, it is necessary to get better. It's necessary to get stronger. It's how you are then able to push harder in your training, which then is, how you build endurance and stamina and strength. So if you can think of the training, the running, the lifting, all of that as pressing on the gas pedal. So we're pressing on the gas pedal. If you get in your car every day and you drive, you have a gas tank and it eventually goes to empty. And the way it goes to empty is by pressing on that gas pedal and going the miles and revving the engine. But the only way that you can then fill that tank again is by stopping, going to a gas station, turning off that engine and then filling it back up. So when you look at your training schedule, whether you have made that for yourself or a coach is guiding you, there has to be a moment, a day, a week, or a month or season where you've stopped at the gas station to fill up on some gas so that you can start again. And I feel like this has been something that I have grown in over the years. I think the younger we are, this is definitely not a focus because our bodies are young and vibrant. They're strong. They bounce back so much easier. We don't always get out of bed and feel the work that we've put in. I mean, that's like one of the great joys as a high school and college athlete, right? I think you and I have talked about that, especially when we hit our 30s. We're like, wow, did we even know how fit we were when we were in college as college soccer players? And just your ability to move move in all different directions with ease, like not really thinking about joints and ligaments and muscles and all of that. It changes as we go through the season. So I do feel like that sometimes it's almost recovery is almost forced on us the older we get.
Yeah.
But I have found that this is something that we should be talking about with youth. So especially to our younger listeners, our high school or college or young 20 listeners, which seems to be actually a growing percentage of our listeners. If you can get a handle on recovery now, it will allow you to stay in the sport longer. It will help with injury prevention. But overall, you have to remember that recovery is not just the body. A big part of it is the mind. Your body understands stress, whether it's mental stress, that emotional stress, and physical stress. It kind of takes it all in as one. So when the body is stressed, if you can think about, studying for finals, you are sitting at a desk studying for finals, the week of your final exams, and you're tired. But you're not doing a lot of movement. It's just your brain is exhausted from reading and going over those notes and sitting in discussion groups. And you're just like staying up really late and you're losing sleep. And by the time you go and take the test, like you are so ready for that test to be over and just to be done studying, right? Now think of finishing that test, turning it into your professor and walking out the door and saying, all right, now I'm going to go run 20 miles. How do you think you're going to feel? You are going to be wearing and feeling all of the mental and emotional stress that you just put your body through. Even though you weren't doing any physical training, that stress of finals week, it will carry over into your run. You're not going to feel amazing on that 20-mile long run. And so when you understand that recovery, it affects both sides, both the mental and the physical side, you can become a better, stronger athlete when you see recovery as a important, vital part of your training. It needs to happen in order for you to get stronger.
Yeah, I like that analogy with the car. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so that question that I asked, how often do you implement focus recovery periods into your year?
So when I plan out my year, I usually try to plan out my racing and adventuring schedule about 18 months in advance. So, Eddie and I, we were even talking about this morning what I hope to do in 2025. So usually in the summer is when I start to plan. And typically by November, I already know what I'm doing for the next 12 months.
Yeah.
And so with that, I'm also knowing where the rest is going to be coming into. It's planned. So this year, I already know that from Thanksgiving to Christmas, that's a downtime for me. That's a recovery season. Even if I don't have a race immediately before Thanksgiving, I do take 4 weeks off where there's no structured training. And this is primarily for my mind. I feel that once I get to the end of the year, both my mind and body are tired from the high level of activity. I travel a lot. I train twice a day, and having that break to just say, hey, let's take a break from the structure and the intensity. It doesn't mean though that I will not do any activity. I actually use that time. I go stand up paddling. I go on hikes,
You're moving,
walks.
yeah.
I'm moving. I love to lift. So I actually lift a lot in my off season. And there isn't a ton of structure in that too. I might go to the gym for 2 hours. I might go to the gym for 20 minutes. I might just not go to the gym at all. It really is within that is just, I'm just doing whatever I feel like doing. And so if I just feel like doing nothing that day, I do. I use that concentrated off season to let my brain rest, rejuvenate, and find enthusiasm for what's ahead. So the end of the year off season, that usually happens within November, December. And it's a minimum of 4 weeks where it's not a structured training cycle. For the rest of the year, the recovery periods the bigger chunks come immediately after a race. So, we finished Western States 9 days ago. I still have not run at all. And I've started to implement that more. The more that I've moved through my career, do I want to run? I check in with myself on that. The last 2 days, I've felt like, oh yeah, I think I'm ready to start running again. But I actually will probably start running like in a couple days. So it'll be like a good 10 to 12 days of no running at all. Now, I will follow that up with last week. So my first week of recovery, I did almost 50 miles between biking and hiking. And the reason why I did that, and it was all very low intensity, was just to keep my body loose and moving, to check in with everything. But there was no like workout tied to that. So in the mornings, I'd go and walk 3 or 4 miles. I was listening to podcasts. I'd stop at fences and stretch my legs. And then maybe I'd do something in the afternoon with you. We'd go on a bike ride or something like that. But all of it was so enjoyable. So I implement those recovery shorter periods after a race, and then it's weekly. So throughout training, there needs to be recovery. I used to be just 7 days every single day. I'm running. I now tend more towards like 6 to 7 days a week, depending on how that training feels for the week. And this year we had a lot of external stress and busyness. So I actually made sure that 1 day a week, I didn't do anything. There was, maybe I was stretching and foam rolling, but I would not run at all. And that really helped me keep on top of the intense training I had from week to week. So sometimes even when you're ramping up in training and you feel yourself getting fitter and fitter, having a completely, 1 to 2, and some people even need 3 days where you're not running at all, actually still allows you to get stronger. So the buildup is in that recovery, and it's good for the mind and the body. Nice.
Now, you said you are going to run in a few more days, so it's like 10 or so days after the race. Is that is it very individualized, or is that like a standard, hey, you should probably, after 100 miles, give your body 10 days? Or how is that in terms of other people?
Yeah, I think both experience and fitness level dictate your recovery needs. So the fitter you are, the quicker you recover. The other thing that you have to pay attention to is what your performance was like. So if you, like myself, I moved 7 hours slower than we predicted in our finishing time. So therefore, my body was, head to toe, not as beat up as I would have thought it to be. Like my legs were a little sore, but I was not trashed. I wouldn't say that I was trashed from Western States. And that's really because I couldn't hit my maximum effort that I would have liked to hit had I been able to, consume some calories. So that dictates my recovery. I probably could have run just a couple days after Western States, but the commitment not to was more important to me. So checking in with how you feel. If you have done a full max effort half marathon and your body's very sore and you are tired, you're feeling it, listen to your body. If you decided to do a 10K with friends and it was a walk, jog, take pictures, and, it was just a community social thing, your recovery isn't going to be as long as if you were actually training for a PR to run your fastest 10K ever. So your effort level and intensity are going to dictate how much recovery that you need. This episode is brought to you by Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, and you'll know what's going on with your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. You can also breathe into it before and after workouts and meals, so you know exactly what's going on in your body in real time. And Lumen will give you tips to keep you on top of your health game. Now, one of the things that I really love about this is that it can also track your cycle as well as the onset of menopause and adjust your recommendations to keep your metabolism healthy through hormonal shifts. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/Sally to get 15% off your Lumen. That is LUMEN.me/Sally for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
All right, so that's the focused recovery. Now, talk to us about on a daily basis. How do you recover on a daily basis?
Daily basis, I would say that the getting good sleep, I'd say that is hands down the best way to recover. It's also a problem. I'd say here in the United States, it is a growing problem to getting good sleep, where people are actually able to fall asleep, stay asleep, go through the entire cycle of sleeping, and then wake up rested. So that is something I have personally been working on in the last few years, creating a nighttime routine. You know, I'm turning, like, I literally turn down the lights in the house, turn down the sounds in the house, and, you know, close the curtains, like kind of just like set up this more of a peaceful ambiance and setting in the entire house. I mean, the whole family knows, like, okay, we're coming down now. I used to not do that. And historically, having grown up in a family of 7, that was one of the things I used to pride myself in, is I could sleep anywhere. When you grow up in a loud home, you're kind of like forced to to get used to noises and things like that.
So true.
Yeah. So, but as I have gotten older, I've also understood that we have been introduced to more things that distract us and keep our brains awake. So whether that's blue light, it's our phones, it's screens. Now it's like disciplining myself to make my brain, you know, fall asleep. So I would say that the being able to get through a good sleep cycle, setting myself up to actually truly rest and stay in bed. I've had seasons too where, you know, I'm not maybe sleeping well, but I tell myself, okay, I'm just actually going to lay in bed for an hour and just be quiet and let my body just rest. Even though I'm not like in the sleep cycle, my body is resting. I'm letting it relax. So, that's the most important daily recovery that I do. I know there's a lot of tools out there. There's a lot of, you know, you got the Theragun, you got the foam roller, you got the recovery boots, and there's, you know, we have these cold plunge tubs and saunas and all these things that, you know, different individuals feel like this really helps me. This helps me recover. This helps me feel better. I still don't think anything beats sleep. So that's the top one. The second one is food. Introducing ourselves, you know, introducing a good menu of whole foods, foods that replenish, foods that, you know, help restore lost nutrients. So necessary in building the body back up. And so I love to have things like berries. I eat berries almost every day. They're great anti-inflammatory. There's a lot of great nutrients in berries. And then just a lot of whole food. I make sure I get enough protein. That's something that, you know, I try to be on top of throughout the day. Everything I eat throughout the day, there's protein somewhere. I mean, I got my cup of coffee right here. There's 20 grams of protein in my coffee. I put some collagen protein powder in there. BPN makes a great one. You can't taste it. Throw it at the bottom of the mug, and then I stick it under our little Nespresso, that hot coffee, blend that up together. And, you know, I start the day with 20 grams of protein right there. But then every meal, you know, the protein helps build me back up, and it keeps me strong. So sleep and food, those are the most important things to me on a daily basis. And they're, you know, here's the thing. They don't require an extra budget. See, I think that recovery tools, they're very popular. You can find them in an aisle at Walmart. You know, they got the foam rollers and the sticks and these vibration guns, all that stuff. I think it's important that we that we understand you don't need to have an additional budget in order to recover well. Those things are nice. They feel good. They do help. But if you don't have the budget to have all these extra tools or even the time to do all that stuff, pay attention to rehydrating your body. So getting in some good electrolytes, replenishing what you've lost, eat some good foods, and get some good sleep. Those things help big time.
Yeah, food and sleep. So you mentioned a couple different recovery tools. In sleep, obviously not being one of these, but what do you believe is the most important tool?
You know, I do feel a good foam roller or like a massage stick. That does help a lot because what I have found over the years is it isn't until you put one of those against your body that you're like, whoa.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you've done this before. When your back wasn't feeling great, you would get on a foam roller and you're like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize I was tight on that side.
Yep.
Or you feel a knot. You feel, I know for me, I have some pretty significant scar tissue in one of my IT bands, and it is literally like a speed bump. Anytime anyone works on it, anytime I roll on a foam roller, you can literally feel the scar tissue from a very long ago injury that I had there. And I'm always reminded of that when I get on a foam roller. But a foam roller I can feel great all day, and then I get on a foam roller and I'm like, I didn't realize I was this tight. And so I really like to encourage a foam roller. Again, I think that's one of the most accessible tools.
Yep.
I always got one in years past, like at TJ Maxx or Marshall's. You can get them for like $9 at these places. And now they got the creative ones. There's the rumble roller and ones that have grooves in it and stuff. And, sometimes those go a little bit deeper. They have travel ones. I got this small little I think it's like 12 inches long and maybe like 4 inches around. I got that from Mackenzie. She would put it in her training backpack.
Yeah, in her bag.
And she would just take that to the track. So I do like those travel ones. You can put them in your carry-on suitcase. But, sometimes at the end of a long day, even when you have been sitting at a desk all day, to get on a foam roller and roll your spine, roll up and down on that spine, to roll on your neck and your shoulders, that just feels so nice. So staying loose, I'd say even if you aren't running every day, you're not lifting every day, I think because we sit so much, because we have this hunched position, getting ourselves to loosen up and kind of get out of that position is so important. One of the things I love to encourage people to do is to flip that foam roller on its side so it's in the same direction of your spine, and just let your shoulders drop on either side of it, because we are in the opposite direction a lot during the day. And so you're starting to see even youth in this hunched position where the shoulders are coming forward, the head is leaning forward. And so, reminding your body, hey, we open up this way, that really promotes good posture, good breathing. So I'd say next to sleep and nutrition, a foam roller is a good one to have in your toolbox.
All right. What about, what are your thoughts on like compression boots and ice baths and all the others?
Well, what do you think about those things, Ed? Have you ever put some compression boots on?
I've never used a compression boots.
And we have boots here.
Yeah, I've never used them. I've never used them.
To our YouTube listeners, let us know what you use. Go ahead and put that in the comments. We would love to know what your favorite like extras are. So your I call them recovery luxuries, because that's really what they are. These are recovery luxuries. What do you love? Now, the Normatec boots, the Normatec brand, you can get a lot of off brands now, like on Amazon. And I see them. I'm a TJ Maxx Marshalls girl, so I've seen them there. But one of the things I love about those, they're so relaxing. You actually feel like in your head, like, these are recovering my legs. And for those of you that aren't familiar with what compression boots are, it's essentially like getting your blood pressure taken, right? It's a similar sleeve, but it's for your entire leg. And, you can use different settings with these where it fills up with air at certain sections of your leg, and then goes up and down, releases the air, and kind of does this in a rhythmic way. And the idea is to increase blood flow. And blood flow is so important when we're healing injuries, when our body is inflamed, and that's what we need to help us recover. So I know a lot of people swear by these.
Mhm.
I mean, it is like immediate. Mackenzie is almost daily in those things,
Yeah,
especially
she
in
is.
the lead up to a race. I think just, I had mentioned this before. I had a conversation with Jason Koop about all the recovery modalities. Sometimes it's like, if you feel like that's working and you actually believe it's working, and
Mhm.
that transfers over into a physical feeling, keep doing it.
Yeah.
Is it going to give you this massive competitive edge? Is it going to change your whole running? Maybe not. But if it's relaxing you and you do feel more loose, do it. So the compression boots are pretty fun. I think ice baths have to be used. There's a lot more research that's coming out on those. I would not do an ice bath immediate following a hard workout. And I do see that a lot with people. They'll jump in an ice cold river, or they'll go into their plunge right away. In order to get the maximum training benefits of a hard workout, I'm not talking about a recovery run.
Mm-hmm.
Of a hard workout. So I'm talking about a tempo run, interval workout, VO2 max workouts. You got to let the breakdown that the body is experiencing, you got to let that linger. And so I would say, if you can wait up to like 4 hours, if you actually love your ice bath, wait like at least 4 hours, or do it the next day. Do it the next morning. I love cryotherapy. I'm a believer in cryotherapy, but I've always been very specific as to when I do cryotherapy, and I won't do it on days that I have hard workouts. So if you can, and Eddie, I know that you'll be able to understand this too, because you love to lift, but the breakdown of the muscles when you lift, the tearing of the muscles, is then what builds the muscle back up.
Mm-hmm.
When it repairs, that's how the muscle grows.
Yeah.
So the same idea happens when we're doing hard workouts. The breakdown that you experience after a hard run workout, you kind of want that to marinate a little bit, and then you build back up. So I usually try to be a little bit more strategic when it comes to plunging, ice baths, and stuff like that. Now, if I'm in a recovery season, so let's say it's the end of the year, I'll ice bath every day because I just like it. I think there's a lot of cognitive and mental benefits to taking cold showers, if plunging, anything cold. I know there's conflicting ideas about which one is better and different viewpoints and things like that. But I'll tell you what, whether I do cryotherapy, a freezing cold shower, or an ice dunk, the biggest benefit that I notice among all three is the positive mental state that I'm in, the clearing of fog. There's a little grit that goes into that. You feel good after you do it. So, I don't really lean into using ice baths to actually recover my body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What about, is there such a thing as too much recovery?
I mean, I'd say there's definitely, are you asking this question?
Because I feel like it's a no, but I'm not the pro, so.
I mean, let's hear your side of it. I just want to hear your thoughts on that.
You don't want to hear my thoughts on this, because I would just say there's just no, because I just keep recovering to the point of I don't do anything else. I just recover all the time.
Month 8 of recovery season.
Still in the boots, Eddie.
I mean, I think that's individual.
Yeah.
It depends on, and we are not talking about injury right now. We're not talking about like legit, I broke my femur type recovery. This is, you're recovering from a training workout. You're recovering from a race. You're recovering from a long season. So I just want to make sure we do make that clear, because obviously when it comes to injuries, these are all going to look different for us. But as far as, is there too much recovery? I think if you mentally, let's say you're like 6-7 weeks into a training program and you are finding that for 2, 3, 4 days straight that your runs are lagging and you do not like being out there, I think that's when you probably should reevaluate how your recovery has been looking. And that you might need several days off before you get back to training. That's kind of when your training is in trouble.
Yeah.
And there's a couple things that are going to happen in there. One, you're going to lose motivation and abandon the training because you're like, I hate this. Why'd I sign up for this? Like, I'm too tired. Like, I don't like it. I thought it was a good idea. It's not. I think that's a lot of mental stuff that is going on. Two, your body is generally like not recovered. Like maybe the last 6 weeks you didn't put in proper recovery. And so you've now reached a point where your body is just hammered and very run down. And so having maybe a few days, 2, 3, 4 days of a true reset will help you get back on track. And then 3, it's evaluating the externals. So we have seen where some people need to actually take a break from training. You keep them moving, but you say, we're going to take a break from training for the race, but I actually want you to keep moving. We're going to take intensity away because what I'm seeing is you have massive stress going on at work because of this project that your boss is breathing down your neck about. And that is actually why your workouts do not feel good right now. So the movement, though, is so important because it actually helps clear the mind, getting that fresh oxygen. Sometimes that's where the person can actually like have some good thoughts. And so you take the intensity out. And so I think if you hit a point where you're like, wow, I feel like I need several days of recovery, pay attention as to why. But having too much recovery, yeah. I mean, if all other things are going well, you're feeling good, it is easy to start to fall into a slack mode for no reason at all. A committed, dedicated, disciplined training plan, that's work.
Yep.
You got to fight some demons sometimes. You got to fight the motivation bus. I mean, we can't always rely on motivation to get our workouts done. And so, if you find that like, yeah, I've had maybe 1 too many days of recovery without a real reason why, I think that would be the only time where, okay, time to get back to work.
Yeah. Well, talk to someone that's trying to create a routine that's sustainable that they can implement over the course of their training.
I think this is a great discussion to have because when we talk about recovery routines, it kind of runs in the same vein as when I'm trying to encourage someone to implement strength. And typically the response is, okay, another thing I have to implement. I barely have time to get my run in.
Yeah.
So now I need to do 30 minutes of recovery after every day. Not going to happen. I understand that. However, we have to look at recovery as this is what allows you to keep going. This isn't another laborious routine. In fact, your recovery is so important that you need to look at your week and say, these are the days that I'm recovering. And, we are not running at top speed. Top intensity. We're not riding our bike or lifting at top intensity all the time. And so a couple of your workouts actually for the week are recovery based. And so when you have a recovery run, let's say that you only have time to run for 60 minutes. I mean, in my mind, if that's a recovery run and you really only have a 60-minute block to train for the day, make your recovery run 40 minutes and then get home and do some stretching, some mobility, rolling out on the foam roller. Do things that are actually going to help your body feel good for the next day's workout. Sometimes the recovery run shows you what you need to do. And that's typically how I approach recovery. So I many times will start the day at the gym and I started off with a 20-minute mobility routine. And keep in mind, listeners, if you need some mobility routine ideas, you can always download my app. I have several mobility and stretching ideas. Workouts that are in there.
Yeah.
And you can follow along with those. They tackle you head to toe, but this is actually what has helped me stay injury free over the years. So I get up, I assess the body, and then it lets me know if I'm going to hit a workout for that day or if I need to have a recovery run for that day. So if I start moving through my mobility routine and I'm like, oh my gosh, both my Achilles are so tight. Yeah, probably not a good day to go do a hill workout. And so I work on the Achilles for that day. I stretch out those calves. Like I might elongate that mobility routine and really work on those. And then later on, I'll head out for like an easy run, loosen them up, do a little more stretching again. I'm going to have a better workout the next day because of that. So that's how you keep it sustainable within your week is look at recovery as the way to keep going. that it needs to be implemented several times a week as far as like the recovery routine. I'm not talking about sleep and eating, but rather how am I doing that on a daily basis so that the next day I'm even better. The other thing, these are practical things that you can do, for our busy listeners who are in school, who have jobs and families that they're looking after. Keep a few tools where you can always see them. So like we have a foam roller by the front door. It's in a basket. I know Mackenzie has a little area by her bed. I have an area by my bed where I can just sit down right down there on the mat for 5 minutes. I can roll on a foam roller or get a massage stick or a lacrosse ball. And it's just a couple minutes. We don't have to look at it as like, another session. It's just, wow, I'm going to rub out the bottom of my feet. When you kind of make that a normal part of your day, and you make it accessible around your house, then it doesn't feel so overwhelming. It's actually just part of your day. That's how I keep moving. The other thing that I suggest is keeping a golf ball, a lacrosse ball underneath underneath your sink in your bathroom. And while you are washing your face, brushing your teeth, brushing your hair for the day, you roll that ball out and you just rub the bottom of your foot with that ball while you're getting ready. I think that you can implement a lot of these things into just your normal day routine. One of my favorite things to do when I wake up in the morning is I do a full stretch off the sink. So I put my hands on the sink and I push my hips all the way back, stretch out my arms, and I have a flat back. So if you can like kind of picture me just bending straight over with my hands on the edge of the sink, and I get a stretch in my back, I get a stretch in my hamstrings that way. I go right into a stretch with, I put my feet flat on the ground and I start trying to mobilize ankles, seeing where the calves are. And then I wash my face. It isn't this extravagant routine. I just do a couple exercises to see, am I tight? How are things feeling today? And so when you do that throughout the day, it doesn't feel so overwhelming. But those are probably the best ways to make it sustainable. So that if you're asking yourself, am I doing the little details? The little details, that's what they look like.
Yeah.
It isn't, I added on a 45-minute recovery session. It's just, throughout the day, I try to get a little stretching in, try to rub out the feet. I hop on my foam roller. I remember when the kids were toddlers in preschool, they loved it when I would, I'm on the carpet, like rolling on a foam roller. They wanted to do it too.
Yeah.
Like, what is this fun toy that you're playing
there,
on? Yeah. So just make it a normal part of your day. And, a lot of things that we implement into our life or that we can make a habit, it's kind of easing into it and just looking at it from a different perspective. This isn't yet another slot in your schedule that you're making. You're just working it into other things that you're already doing. So if you're brushing your teeth, you know what? Stretch out the calves. Why not? You're standing there staring in the mirror anyway. Why not stretch then?
All right. Well, let's talk about you kind of personally. So so you've talked a little bit about after like a race or Western States because it's on the mind, but you've done a lot of hiking, a lot of walking, a lot of biking, and this past week and a half. What is your favorite way to recover after a race?
Sleep.
Sleep.
Absolutely. Yeah. I get extra sleep. I take naps. I don't always have time just in my weekly training schedules to take a afternoon nap. I know that can be critical for a lot of athletes, especially competitive elite level athletes. Like that nap can really work wonders when you implement it at the right time of day. But yeah, it's the extra sleep is one of my favorites. And then just it's eating and then the mental side is I really take all intensity out of my week. So I don't do like I don't come home and I'm like deep diving into a bunch of meetings. I know that my mind needs a break from just all of it. It's a high that you're coming off of. It's a lot of interactions. It's a lot of stimulus. So I like to be quiet. I do a lot of journaling and writing. Like I said, walking. I walked so much this past week, and I'll just share like on a very personal level with my listeners right now. Western States. It was, after all is said and done, the most memorable, a beautiful experience for me.
Yeah.
But this is also my job. And so that performance was disappointing for me. And I want to be good at my job. And, you know, the week after the race, for whatever reason, you know, I still had a lot of nausea, problems with my stomach. I can't pinpoint why. Those also aren't at all excuses. I mean, I own and take responsibility for my performance. It was not a good performance, and it was not what I hoped it to be after training so hard for almost 8 months.
Yeah.
So, you know, and I think it's been very valuable for me over the course of my life to always be honest and evaluate anything that I'm doing, any goal I'm working toward, whether it's in business or in sport, to say, what did you do right? What was a success? What was, you know, even saying that was a disappointment, like, and look at, okay, how can we get better? How can we grow? So for me, you know, this past week, that was why I did a lot of walking. It was no intensity at all.
Yeah.
But I walked with a journal, and I would stop sometimes in the middle of my walk, and I would write down and journal some thoughts, and spend some time just praying, and really just taking care of my mental state, because I don't think it's healthy, and I've grown a lot in this. I don't think it's healthy to like linger in anything when it hasn't gone your way, because you can't change it.
Right.
So there's nothing about my race that I can go back and change. There isn't, oh, I wish this would have happened, the woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's just not healthy. What I have put into practice year after year, though, is let's be honest about the performance. Let's get some takeaways. So the positive takeaways, the things that were the most memorable and meant the most to me. I mean, this is one of the most memorable races I've done when all is said and done. I shared those in posts on Instagram, but now it's also important that I look at, okay, where could I improve? And it's also understanding that sometimes you're not going to get answers. So I noticed on your Choose Strong podcast Instagram, Ed, someone was like, oh, I was really hoping that you would say what happened and why and what you think happened. I'm really interested in this. Sorry, there's not always an answer, you know, and that is how life is.
Sure.
Some things don't go our way and we never get an answer for it. And one of the most dangerous things we can do is stay in that. And that's how we get bitter. That's how we also build fear. I don't understand what happened last time. I'm afraid of that happening again because I don't know how I could handle if that happened again. And I'll tell you what, there's been a lot of setbacks in my career where I just, at the end of the day, I don't know. I can't pinpoint what happened. It could have been like 6 things that was the reason.
Yeah.
And I have to move on from that and say, okay, I'm just going to get better. I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm going to experiment a little better. And, you know, when I look at how much Jason and I put into my nutrition, electrolytes, all of that, when I see that Western States wasn't like a flaming hot day, and historically I do very well in the heat, and I didn't really feel hot at all on Western States. I mean, it cooled down my body like everyone else was doing, but you know, we're getting some tests done in these coming weeks on my gut and my intestines and all of that to kind of see what's happening, if I can solve anything there. But I do feel like in the middle of that race, that was a familiar mindset for me, was we're not going to complain. We're going to move as best we can, but it's going to be on sparkling water,
Yeah.
you know, and we are going to embrace the pace to get to the finish line to accomplish what we did. And now that it is post race, you know, a week long of walks and just meditating, praying, writing, you know, that was the healthiest way for me to process it. I don't think it's healthy to go online and be all angry and upset and oh woe's me, because it wasn't an oh woe's me painful. I wasn't suffering. It's part of the sport.
Yep.
And we see this across all sports that, you know, you win some, you lose some, and sometimes you know why, and sometimes you don't, but you just get back to working. So, you know, this week has been just a time for me to really reflect on that and walking it's just like one of my favorite things to do to recover, because it forces me into a pace that is so slow. And it actually forces me into peacefulness. I actually find that I can process things better when I'm walking slowly than if I'm just sitting.
Yeah.
So if I'm just like sitting on a bench, which sometimes I like to do, like if I'm sitting and writing, but I feel like I can gain a little bit more insight as I'm moving at a nice pace early in the morning. That's been very rejuvenating. It's also helped my body like loosen up. Like the first couple days I was a little tight, and then I get up and I go on these walks and I feel so much better after I get back from a walk. I've also been going to the gym. So I had like 3 weight sessions the first week too. Nothing gnarly. I mean, it's all like just kind of checking in with the body, seeing where the strength is. I've done some mobility. I really love lifting and just getting in the gym the week of my recovery. Like I said, I'm not looking to like be building in a certain area. It's just to really check in with the body. It's a lot of gentle, light movements, and it shows me where I'm tight. It shows me where I have an imbalance and where I can just kind of rebuild. So that's been my favorite way of recovering. And when I first started in the sport, that isn't what I would do. I mean, I would try to get back to running as quickly as possible. And, I learned as the years went on, that wasn't the best for me. I needed to get out of the structure, get out of the intensity, be kind and gracious to my body and heal, and then begin to build up again.
Well, out of all those methods and tools, I think I kind of know the answer to this one, but if you had to choose one method to recover, what would that be?
Donuts. I mean,
that's not what I was thinking. That is not what I was thinking.
I love donuts so much.
I know, but that's not the correct answer.
Donuts always mean I'm in recovery mode. So I don't eat a lot of donuts when I'm training.
Yes, you're right.
But that really is one of my faves.
That's not a method, though. That is not a method.
And you enjoy it with me. That's what I love too.
I do. That's true.
I love our time together though too. When I'm in recovery, I feel like we have these just really sweet, slower mornings together. And,
I always put on a lot of weight during your recovery because you're like, hey, let's get this ice cream. Let's have these donuts. And I'm like, all right, that sounds good.
Oh my
but
gosh.
I shouldn't be eating those. Anyways, yeah. So one method to recover, what would it be? Oh no,
I'm so sorry. I saw a text pop up from our kids. See, I'm always on alert if a text pops up from our kids. Mackenzie's at the gym training right now, and she just sent a video of I gave her routine to do in the summer. I do a little guidance.
Okay. Yep.
I told her to do a core routine with a focus on the glutes, hips, and abs. So she went into the, LA Fitness or gyms have like a group exercise room. When there's no one exercising in there, you can go in there and a lot of people, they'll go in there with their mat, they turn on the music.
Yeah.
She just sent a video of someone. She said this person was doing cartwheels for a solid 10 minutes.
No way. 10-minute cartwheels. No way.
I love stuff at the gym, man. I love public gyms. It just makes me smile, these little stories. But anyway, good job, Mackenzie. Anyway, tangent.
Yeah.
So go on, Ed.
Well, coming back to the question, this would be my 3rd time asking it to you. Welcome to my life, everyone. If you had to choose one method to recover, what would it be?
Oh, you don't like the donuts answer.
I don't like that one. That one's not legit. It's a great answer, but it's not the correct answer.
Honestly, encouraging the listeners in this too, it is just more sleep.
Yeah.
Hands down, the best way to recover, and this is mentally and physically from everything in your life, is to get sleep. Let your body shut down. Let your body take a break. Disconnect from devices. Let your body be still.
Yeah. And
being still sometimes is the hardest thing to do, but that is where we're going to get rejuvenation, and that's where we get clarity. It's like I said, it's been in these very slow walks, but also these early mornings where I'm laying there before I even get out of bed, that it's just you get a lot of clarity and you get time to think and just relax and sleep.
All right, there it is. All right. Well, you know what? Let's chat about what's next for you. So you said you're coming off about 7, 8, 9 days, and you're like, okay, I'm kind of ready to run a little bit.
Yeah.
When do you like actually begin the training of something again?
Well, I am heading to Hard Rock 100 this weekend. This will be my first time ever.
Are you running it?
Experiencing. No.
Oh, okay. All
I'm
right.
not running it.
Just clarifying.
I stopped putting in for the
Long time
for the
ago.
lottery
Yeah.
after 8 years straight. I decided to stop putting in my bid.
Yeah.
But my good friend Maggie was supposed to run it. She actually just pulled out today. But
Yeah,
I have
it's
a
a bummer.
lot of friends running it. My coach Jason Coop will be there, and there is a possibility now that Maggie is not running it that she and I will be doing some reporting, live streaming type stuff. We'll be helping out with the live stream coverage. So very excited to be just out there with the community. It's such a strong community that
Yep.
comes around for the Hard Rock race. It's in some of the most beautiful mountains in the nation. The views and just the stories that come out of there. Of course, I'm excited to see my good friend Courtney just crush it again. She had a stellar race there last year when she was hitting the 3 big races in such a short span last year. I mean, just legend. Courtney is legendary. I don't know if we'll ever see someone like Courtney for a while, all the things that she's done. So I'm so excited to witness her race. So I will begin mountain training. The end of this week. I'm going to get a little bit of training in when I'm out there.
Nice.
And then just more specifically in towards the end of July, all of August. I have a event in September. I haven't announced yet, but I'm very excited about. It's going to be a mountain event.
Nice.
So body's ready to get back to training. Mentally, I feel really good. It's time to move on from Western States and look forward to the good that's ahead. Like I said before, I think that is. It's so important that we all do that, you know, regardless of how something goes. So I have to say this too, because I used to say it to Mackenzie all the time, whether you are the champion or you had a disappointing race, it's important that you train yourself to always be looking forward with hope.
Yep.
That we do not rest in our past accomplishments or our past failures, but that we learn from each of them equally and keep moving forward.
Yeah.
So that's really where my mind is right now. I'm excited about what is ahead. As you know, Ed, I love nothing more than long days in the mountains. So that's what I'm carving and carving out the body for next is very long days in the mountains.
Nice.
And we'll expose what that is as we get closer to the date. I'm excited, Eddie, because you're going to be out there with me.
I'll be there.
Yeah. And I want to take this time as our listeners are continuing to run. So if you have been running this entire time, thanks for taking us along for your race or for your training. If you're in the gym or on a bike, we love being a part of your training. And so I'm going to speak specifically to you as you are in training mode or racing mode, and just encourage you to take care of the one body that is given to you. You know, recovery has a lot to do with grace. Recovery has a lot to do with healing, restoration, rejuvenation, and preparing for what's ahead. And this is truly why it's so important. Recovery is not laziness. Recovery does not mean that you've given up, that you've lost hope. Recovery is necessary to keep you building and moving forward. And so take a look if you have time, and whether you keep a physical journal. If you're on YouTube right now, you can see one of my many journals that I like to keep. This is a new one that I have started. Whether you keep a training journal or maybe you just track all your stuff on Strava, it is important that you give yourself like 5 minutes at some point in the week where you look back on your training. Look back what you did a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. What does your recovery look like in the midst of all of that? Because it's going to dictate how your next few weeks are going to be. If you see that like, oh, wow, I've only taken 1 day off, reevaluate that. The last thing that goes right alongside that is your value is not in your training. Your value is not in the running or the lifting. That's just something that you do. But remember that you yourself, apart from the running, apart from the cycling, apart from the strength training, you are invaluable. Who you are as a person is vast, it's deep, it's wide. There's so many things about you that are unique and beautiful, and only seeing yourself as valuable because of a race that you did, or the training, or the miles on your weekly training log, that's a lie. You are valuable from day one, and you are valuable whether you get a run in or you're kicking your feet up in some Normatec boots. And our movement is a gift. Your body is a gift. So I want to encourage you as your friend to take care of it day in and day out. Be kind and gracious to yourself. Choosing strong is not mean picking up weight every day and pushing your body over the edge every day. It's choosing strong to do what is good for your body, what is best for your body, what is gonna allow it to grow in the best possible way. And Eddie and I, we have been training alongside each other since we were 18 years old. And we have watched each other go in and out of seasons, whether it's an injury or like when I was pregnant or coming back from a race. Eddie's watched my body change into so many different shapes, especially after having kids, and whether I'm building up muscles.
Yeah, no, you've seen my body change in many shapes too, I think. And I have no pregnant excuse.
But we've also seen each other have injuries and come out of injuries, and just these seasons where it's like, gosh, I'm not motivated, or I don't know what to do, or I don't know what my goal is. And that is like the beauty in life is, there is a time for every season, and we're always growing and learning within all of those. And so, I just want to end this podcast with that encouragement. I want to encourage you in all that you're doing, and just to remember how precious your body is, but most importantly, just who you are individually apart from your physical activity that you're doing. And Eddie and I, we are rooting for you. We love you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yep.
And we want to encourage you to keep choosing strong in all you do.